Environmental advocates worry the salt put on slippery streets could harm the environment across the state line. They say leaders should look to a more friendly alternative, beet juice.
Most highway departments around the area rely on plows and salt to clear snowy roads. WIFR's Nathaniel Langley learns more about the push for a safer alternative and cleaner water.
Nobody wants to slip and slide on winter roads. Salt clears the way, but once that salt and snow flow into streams and rivers, environmentalists warn trouble isn't far behind.
There's always a happy medium between the safety of folks on the road and the safety of the critters in our waterways.
Those at Severson-Dells argue salt may be sweet for drivers, but sour for fish and plants.
Overall, we see population decline as there's an increase in pollution such as salt.
One eco-friendly solution? A combination of salt and beet juice.
When it enters the waterways, it doesn't affect plants nearly as much as regular salting practices do.
Beets lower freezing points and aren't as harmful to vehicles.
It puts less wear and tear on the metal that's involved in applying it and the snow plows.
Lee County's Highway Department claims the argument against salt makes sense as a concept.
It's not there naturally. Maybe it shouldn't be there, at all. And I'm just not aware of any real specific studies on that.
The problem is cost. It's pricey to bring in the juice.
We would need to put on some spreading equipment in order for us to really use that effectively.
Anderson believes workers and trucks beat beets.
The more of those you have, the quicker you can cover the mileage that you've got.
Noble believes there could be a better answer. Eco-friendly salting.
Even though it's important to have safe roads to drive on, absolutely, considering ways that are safe for us and safe for nature is really important for the future.
Staff from Severson-Dells have tested salt levels in waterways across the Rockford area. Some of the most concerning levels are actually in Kent Creek by Tinker Swiss Cottage.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Anderson reports Lee County purchased around 70% less salt for this winter. He credits the smaller order due to a large stockpile from last year.